What if I told you the only thing keeping you stuck from growing on LinkedIn is one psychological shift? See, most people think LinkedIn is just for job posts and networking and not a real platform to make sales or get clients. And that belief is exactly why you are stuck. But here's the thing. I went onto Reddit earlier today and found dozens of people asking the same exact questions about why LinkedIn isn't working for them. And in this video, I'm going to answer all of them. LinkedIn is one of the most profitable platforms on the internet. One of our clients recently made $148,000 from LinkedIn alone in 1 month using the exact answers I'm about to give to you. But before we get into the comments, we need to talk about why LinkedIn feels so hard in the first place. The reason most people struggle implementing LinkedIn as a place where they can make sales in their business, or even just using it to build their personal brand or to get clients, is that they look at LinkedIn as just a job search platform. They just look at it as kind of like corporate slop. But you need to be looking at LinkedIn as a consumer-facing platform, and you need to treat it like any other social media, like Instagram, like Twitter, like TikTok, like YouTube. Once you actually change your mindset around it, you start to realize that LinkedIn's actually a gold mine for signing new clients. It's essentially a new platform where all of the market awareness when it comes to content angles and advertising hooks are much lower. And what worked in 2016, 2018, 2020 in the marketing world and social media now works on LinkedIn in 2026. Whereas all of that stuff, the market is much more aware on all the other social media platforms. And that's what makes LinkedIn a massive opportunity right now. And I spent some time today digging through Reddit and just seeing what some people are actually struggling with when it comes to implementing a strategy on LinkedIn. So I'm going to pull up a couple of different questions here and we're going to jump right into it. So the first question we have here is from 4 months ago, and he says, how do you decide which followers to engage with? I've been creating content on LinkedIn for 2.5 years. I have 60,000 followers, but here's my problem. I spend 2 hours a day engaging, commenting, sending DMs, but I had no systematic way to know which followers are actually reciprocating my engagement, which ones are potential customers who are just consuming my content, and who's worth my time. Right now, I just scroll and comment randomly, and it feels like I'm wasting 70% of my time on people who are ghosting me. How do I handle this? Do I have a spreadsheet that tracks engagement? Do I just engage with whoever appears? Any tools, etc.? So this is an amazing question, because something that I've learned about LinkedIn is there are a lot of people trying to sell you shit. If you go to your DMs on LinkedIn, almost always it's going to be filled with people either trying to sell you stuff, trying to get hired, or trying to hire you, but it doesn't really give you anyone that's trying to buy from you. So there's a very important distinction that you have to make with that kind of engagement. And the first thing you need to do when deciding who's worth your time to DM, who's worth your time to send a connection request to, and who's worth your time to comment on is understanding what your ideal client profile is. This is your ICP. So for me, I run a marketing agency that helps businesses grow their personal brand. And I know specifically that I work with 7, 8, and 9-figure consultants, business owners, and software founders. So for me, I know that the people worth my time are going to fall inside of that ICP. And it narrows down the amount of people that are commenting and engaging with my content down by about 90%. So if I go to one of my more recent posts and I just scroll to the comments, I can see their job titles. This is one of the amazing things about LinkedIn that you don't get on other social medias, is everyone's required to have their job title, their location, and a bunch of information about them that you otherwise would not know. So I know straight away, I don't even really have to click their profile. I could just look at their headline and I'll know right away if they're going to be in my target market. Now you could track this in some sort of Google sheet, or you could track this in some sort of database. But in my experience, the easiest way is to implement a connection request system. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your profile, you're going to click followers, and you're going to get a list of all of your followers from most recent to least recent in chronological order. Now, this is one of your most powerful lists in terms of engagement, because these are the warmest people being generated from your content. These are people who actively clicked the follow button on your profile. Now, an important thing to note on LinkedIn is that in order for you to message somebody on LinkedIn without wasting an in-mail credit, which you only get about 50 of those a month, is you have to be two-way connected with that person. So you actually have to scroll through the list, find someone in your target market. So let me scroll. I have to click more, and I have to click connect. Now you can add a note, but I like to just send it without a note and kind of keep the mystery. And now that person has to accept that connection request in order for us to be able to message each other. So what this does is it adds multiple touch points before you even have the conversation with the person. They have to follow you, you have to send their connection request, and they have to accept that connection request before you can even send them the DM in the first place. So what this does is it massively increases the response rate on your DMs because you're only targeting the warmest leads being generated from your content. Now, the next source you can look at is if you have LinkedIn Premium, which I highly recommend getting LinkedIn Premium Business, is if you go to notifications and you scroll down, you can actually see who's viewed your profile recently. Now, in order of warmest to coldest leads, this is about the second warmest pool of leads you can get on LinkedIn. It's people who actively saw your content, decided to click your profile. Maybe they didn't follow, but they at least viewed your profile. So it's one less touch point. So the great thing about viewers is you can actually filter for various different things. So for example, I could actually filter for people who are in a certain industry like software, or people that are in a certain city if I have a local service, or people that work at a company that I follow, and I can kind of narrow down the parameters to once again massively increase my response rate by only DMing leads that I think are likely to respond. And before we get to the next question, if you want to go more in depth on what I just explained and you want to get a playbook that takes you from what do I post all the way to how do I monetize that content on LinkedIn, I created a full in-depth playbook. You can grab that at the link down below. Just enter your email and I'll send that over immediately. And the next question we have here again from 4 months ago says, I have 15,000 followers and over 3,000 newsletter subscribers, and I'm looking for a side hustle. I'm based in England and I'm looking to take things a step further with my IT career and monetize my experience and network. Number one, I get good engagement on my posts and I build some credibility, but I've never really tried to turn it into a proper income stream. Number two, I've recently launched a course that gathers reviews, gets some traction before releasing a paid version. The initial feedback's been positive. Ultimately, he's looking for advice from people who's been down a similar road, whether that's around personal branding, client outreach, you name it. So obviously he came to the right place. And now there's a really important thing when it comes to monetizing on LinkedIn. And that's actually setting up a consistent workflow for the monetization. And what this means is not only posting content and gaining a bunch of followers, which he clearly already has, it's having a system every single day that's having consistent inputs so that he can get consistent outputs. This is the exact kind of system that we implemented for our client that I mentioned during the intro. And what this is having a consistent DM system, both inbound and outbound, so that you can book consistent calls, make consistent sales, and actually monetize your audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out for you in the most practical way possible right now. Number one is that in your content every single week, you're going to make anywhere from 2 to 3 call to actions to your DM to either buy your product, DM you a keyword, or book a call. Number two is you're going to send 40 outbound connection requests per day, 5 days per week, for a total of 200 outbound connection requests. This is the limit that LinkedIn allows you to do without hurting your account or going against the terms of service. Now, assuming 50% of people accept those connection requests, you can send outbound DMs to 20 new people per day or 100 new people per week. Then you should aim for a 50% response rate to those DMs, because again, we're already going to be targeting people who are extremely warm, so they'll have a much higher response rate, which will give you 50 new warm conversations every week. And from there, you want to aim for what's called a 10% booking rate, which means 10% of those conversations are converting to booked calls. So on those 50 conversations, you're going to get 5 booked calls just from the outbound strategy, and everything else coming from inbound from your call to actions is going to be the cherry on top. What this allows you to do is build a predictable revenue system that allows you to get leads on autopilot from your outbound, no matter how good your content is performing, as well as getting a ton of additional booked calls from the inbound leads that you're generating when your content does perform really well. Which brings me to my last question we have here, which is from 9 months ago, and it says, is content overrated? At this point, everyone and their puppy is posting on LinkedIn, so is it still worth posting? Aside from the typical ChatGPT crap we're probably reading on our feed, I still side with the fact of posting. Why? Because even though I'm not a fanboy trying to push content out for the sake of it, I actually do want my ICP to see my stuff. And it also helps when starting a conversation, sending a DM, etc. And that's his rant. And you could just tell he's a little bit fed up. Now, I want to emphasize that we are so early on LinkedIn as of recording this video in 2026. There's only about 500 million active users on LinkedIn, which is literally less than 1/5 of the 2.5 billion users that are on a platform like Instagram or Facebook, which has 3 billion users. So I can't stress enough how underrated posting content is right now. But this guy has a point. You don't just want to be posting AI slop to the platform just for posting for the sake of it. You want to have a system to the content you post. Now, if you followed this channel for a while, you already know the pillars of content that I recommend. That's personal, expertise, social proof, trending, and opinions, which makes the pesto pillars. But more importantly, there's a specific cadence you want to follow on LinkedIn. Now, opposed to other platforms where I might recommend posting 2 or 3 times a day, I actually only recommend posting one curated piece of content every morning on LinkedIn 7 days a week. Additionally, the format that you want to aim for is a semi-long form post, not too short, not too long, and you want to attach a piece of multimedia to it, whether that's a charted infographic, a short form video, or a still image from your life. I found that those 3 formats are the top performing right now. And if you pair that content strategy with the DM and monetization system that I mentioned before this, you will have a cohesive system that will actively allow you to profit on LinkedIn. And again, this is the exact system we've implemented for our client that helped him make over $148,000 last month just from LinkedIn. And he's already done a few $1,000,000 over the last few years. We've been doing this same system every single month for years, and it still works to this day. LinkedIn is not hard. Most people are just going about it wrong because they go in thinking that it's going to fail. They go in thinking that it's not worth it. But if you go in with a bolstered system and strategy, it will work. And again, if you want a more in-depth breakdown of how we take clients from 0 to 7 figures on LinkedIn, I did just create that full in-depth playbook down at the link in the description. If you just enter your email, we'll send that over to you immediately. And I also did a video here on YouTube going over our $2 million DMs playbook. It goes far more in depth on the DM strategy that we covered in this video. I highly recommend checking that out. And if you got any value from this video, as always, I appreciate you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.